The poet Hafiz once wrote, "The words we speak become the house we live in." Stories are powerful, especially the stories we tell about ourselves. Today's guest is Gayle Zalduondo. Gayle is a serial entrepreneur. In the early 2000s, she founded Urbanus, a multimillion-dollar furniture design and manufacturing company. Later on, Gayle co-founded Little River Box Company, a manufacturer that designs and alters shipping containers into restaurants, dwelling units, and facilities. Now, Gayle is a creative mentor and guide. She helps people come home to themselves through the spaces they live in and the stories they tell. Her work, voice, and messaging alchemy supports creative and change makers in reclaiming their authentic voice. Welcome back to the Business of Trust podcast. I'm your host, Hugo Sanchez, and I'm excited for today's episode with Gayle Zalduondo. Let's get started. Hello, Gayle. Welcome to the Business of Trust podcast.
Hi, Hugo. Thanks. It's good to be here.
Thank you for being here. Gayle, you do some extremely transformational and deep work. I've been your client and you've been my client, but most importantly, when I work with you, we went very deep. So can you explain to our listeners what is exactly that you do?
I think at the heart of it, it's life design. I work with both individuals and brands and businesses as well. I bring in what's on the inside to the outside. That's how I see it. I do that through designing spaces and crafting messages and building brands for people. I see the essence of someone and I try to guide it with deep listening and conversation and exploring and bring it out and bring it into an alignment to who they are and what they do, bringing those together.
And I've done this work with you, and the work that we did together really transformed me. I remember a moment when you asked me what were my superpowers, and I ramble a little bit here and there, but you told me, you could see through it, and you told me your superpowers are that you can implement infrastructure and see and really distill complexity into clear steps. It comes so easy to you, you probably don't even realize it. And it was so true. And that I've carried that along in everything I do now.
I think it's intuition, actually. It stems from something inside of me. I mean, I know you. I've worked with you both on different sides of the fence, if you will, both as a client and as a colleague, right? So, but even people that I don't know, if they're open and willing to go through a transformative process with me, I listen. And somehow I see it's so much easier for one to see something in someone else than it is in yourself. So it's just about listening, and then it somehow gets revealed rather easily for me. I sense how things work and how things are. Maybe it's because I'm an empath, but I kind of feel the room, if you will, and everything in it. So I guess it's and that's what I'm doing now, is parlaying it into my next chapter.
I had this concept of you as someone very smart. You have created multiple businesses, and you, most importantly, you have a heart. And that's why I wanted to work with you. I mean, you create a multi-million-dollar business at some point in your life, and with dozens of employees. Can you tell us a little bit about how everything in your life, converged to this?
It really has evolved through time. I call it the arc of time. One of my clients and mentors, Gordon Siegel from Crate and Barrel, once told me when I was in my 20s. He said, "There's no such thing as mistakes, only expensive lessons." And I've taken that. I've taken that to heart. I literally have.
I subscribe to that.
Right. I mean, I think entrepreneurs in general probably would prescribe to that. Yeah. So I've always been a creative entrepreneur, but all of my businesses have been inspired and design related. Whether it's designing furniture, I was always designing the whole space. And now I'm parlaying all of those lessons that I've learned and experience that I've actually gone through. It's a lot easier. Rather than having it be theoretical, it's actually practical at this point in my life. Yeah.
Okay, I want to go back to the central theme of this conversation, which is what you're doing right now and the work
Sure.
of alignment that you do with
Yeah.
people. And um, how does what does being in alignment mean? And how does that builds trust?
I see things, it's bringing the inside out. That's how I see it. And so I think we all have different unique strengths and weaknesses, right? But there's we each one of us have something that makes us tick. Each one of us has a core value that's really important, or three or four or five or six, however many core values that we have. And that's we did this together. So I'll give you some of my core values as an example, right? One of them is definitely relationship versus transactional, big time. Like if it's going to be transactional, okay, I'll do a transaction with you, but I'm probably not going to want to partner with you, right? That's as an example. That's a big one for me. Creativity, obviously, that's off the chart for me because we're all creative. It's not like just some of us are creative or some of us are artists. Just because I'm in a creative industry, I can take that same creativity and continue. It's in all of us, not just in some of us. So, I mean, that's another one of my values, kindness. Kindness is a big one for me. So it makes it a lot easier because when it's out of alignment, whoever that is, I have some that are like no brainer, no start. Like if you're not going to be kind, I'm probably not going to want to even be in the same room as
Yeah.
you, let alone go into business with you. So those are some. Those are I have quite a few. But that's an as an example, and I think that that's what we do as leaders, as entrepreneurs. We're leading by example. It's just if you don't walk the walk, you can feel it. So when I say out of alignment, that's what I mean. If you could, it's there. Otherwise, there are these really pretty words that can come from anywhere. But if you embody it, then it resonates. That's how I see it.
I remember in the moment that I reached out to you, you said something that really hit me. You said, Hugo, I was in a moment where I was confused about my next step. And
Okay.
you told me you are seeking your next step in your head, but it's not going to come from your head. It's going to come from your heart. So I want to go back to how does aligning and subscribing to one's values builds trust in your next step as you deal with uncertainty as an entrepreneur.
I think especially now, and I hate to use this word because I hear it all the time and it's not always true from the people who are saying it, which is authenticity, you know? But right now, more than ever, you got to feel the truth. You have to, it's an intuition. It's from your heart. 100% it's from your heart. That is that is probably my biggest litmus test is
Mm-hmm.
not just it's what resonates with me is really
Mm-hmm.
key. And if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't resonate with me, then it's not for me. I'm not going to judge whether it's good or bad. How about just not for me? And so that's how I see even in businesses and how one attracts the people that we want are we that are in alignment with us, with our
Mm.
values. It's key. That's key because then if all of a sudden if each one of us does that, then I see that I believe that is possible in this world, even in this crazy time, especially in this crazy time, actually.
Talking of these crazy times, I don't know if you've seen the latest update on ChatGPT's video generator is called Sora 2, and it creates videos so real that it's impossible to tell that they were AI generated. Now, as I'm scrolling through Instagram or anywhere, I would see a video and I'm like, wait a minute, is that true or like is this AI generated? Now you talk about messaging and authenticity, especially in these times. Like there's a feeling of how do we navigate our messaging, our authenticity in this context.
that's a
It
big
is.
topic, obviously, for all of us. And um, I have a thought and a theory that we're, at least this is true for me, and maybe it is my arc of time, and maybe it is my lived experience. But the more I feel more heart-centered than I did many, many years ago. It's kind of like I've moved from here to here.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think you can really replicate things that come from here, but from here, not so much. That's my thought. I mean, I think it's really heart-centered is also another one of my big key uh, values, right? It's my where I come from. But isn't that true? Also, just not just with your clients, but what you want to do. It is my belief that we all have a unique set of gifts, many of them, right? And I think about that. Sometimes I'm really good at a particular thing, but I'm not feeling it like in my heart.
Hmm.
So I try it and it just doesn't pan out. And I wonder why. You kind of know. I remember um, in Urbanus. Urbanus was my first company, and it was my biggest teacher. We were really prosperous and we
You
grew
mean
to,
your most expensive lessons were in Uranus?
no, that wasn't my most expensive one, but it was my biggest teacher. How about that? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was a spark of an idea and then it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. We had 85 employees. I mean, it was just like, what? And then one day I woke up and I said, I'm a CEO of a company with 85 employees. And I shifted, or the world shifted for me too. But I remember the ideas came and we acted, and somehow um, there was a rhythm to it. That's how I see it. And it was a flow. And it was what people call now a flow state. But back then, I don't think that, I'm sure that was back then it was something. But when you're in that flow, it still guides everything I do. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm always in a flow state by any means, but it guides me. And I believe that you really have to have that clarity and that heart in order to do that. So, I mean, in order to be in that flow state, it has to be real. That's my thought. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's true for me.
And it's true for me too. I mean, I release a weekly newsletter and I'm putting a lot of content out there, but I write my own copy. I don't let AI do it because one, I enjoy the writing, but two, whenever I'm writing, I'm tapping into my heart. I'm tapping into an emotion. If I can't feel any emotion writing my copy, how can I expect my receiver to feel it?
I hear what you're saying in terms of the ability for AI to do all of these sorts of things. And like one part of me, like a fear response comes up of like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Who do we believe? And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, maybe that is maybe this is my time, because my belief is there's an inner knowing that we all
Hmm.
have,
Hmm.
but we have to cultivate that, right? And that inner knowing, maybe it's like, is that true or is that true? I don't know. I think there's something about that inner knowing, and having that come out is really where we are. And that's our opportunity now, really. Not from a
Hmm.
business standpoint, but from a life standpoint. Like, why don't we just go a little bit slower? And why don't we just, go inside and bring that out? And when we bring it out, you can't fake that. I don't think you can.
Hey there, just a quick message before we continue. I'm your host, Hugo Sanchez, and I'm the founder of Mundes Media, the sponsor of this podcast. I created this show because I was tired of seeing coaches and consultants getting sold cheap marketing tactics that just don't work. I think that real growth doesn't come from these hacks, they come from solid relationships, referrals, and reputation. That's exactly how we operate at Mundes Media. We are full service digital marketing agency that helps B2B coaches and consultants grow through relationship-based marketing strategies, not by commoditizing your brand, but by amplifying what makes you unique. Think of us as your tech-savvy sidekick for product launches, web development, podcast production, email marketing, and ad campaigns. If you're curious about how we can help you, check out our work at mundesmedia.com. Okay, back to our conversation. Now, Gayle, I want to take this conversation like another concentric circle
Sure.
outwards. And
Let's
we
do it.
started with alignment and messaging, like the values on an inner level, coming from within and the state of flow. But no business happens in isolation. Your business is a relationship with a broader audience. So how does this alignment of values and clarity of messaging helps you create and deepen relationships around you?
Okay. I think that when you're aligned with who you are and you're comfortable in your own skin, then and living your truth, right? Then you are going to attract. It's about resonance. That's how I see it. When you're embodied and living your truth, then you are going to attract the that client. That's how I see it anyway. The people for you will come to you. And it's not so woo-woo in that kind of way. I mean, I see it. It's just, I saw it in Urbanus a long, long time ago. We caught the wave because we were aligned with in an industry that needed us, and we had really, really great partnerships. So it was collaboration before collaboration was a really big word, you know? And I've taken that experience. I had it then and I have it now. And of course, I'm going to align myself with somebody who is comfortable in their own skin, in their own business. You can feel when somebody is in that and when they're not. You know, I've done marketing for a long time in my own businesses, and that's how I started, right? The message, all of those things were things that came from me, from my lived experience. And then I've helped brands, and I can tell when somebody is willing to stretch a little bit. And it's not just the words, it's how it feels.
For someone who is launching their business or is already established, but they they put content out there, putting their message out, but it feels like nobody's responding. It might feel true for them, but there might not be a resonance outside. What How would you handle that situation, like, or what
It's a
advice would you give to someone in that
I think it's a lot of it is introspection, I have to say. I think I know I have blinders on. I have had blinders on and then they come off, right? So some of it is it really in alignment, you know, not just with your values, but are you is it is have you put them both together and it's just not just the values and the messaging, but it's the audience. Maybe it's the audience. Maybe you need a different audience.
Mhm.
That it would be my suggestion. So, or a different platform. Maybe it's a, you know, so I mean, and sometimes you can make incremental shifts. You don't have to, you know, completely change your business. You could change your, you know, so I think it's a process that's not black and white. There's a lot of gray there, right? But I think it's for sure, in my lived experience, I know that sometimes my audience wasn't the one that was buying what I was selling, and I had to shift. And I'm glad I did.
It's like that a story of the comedian who goes to the city and New York and this is the still spells his and tells his best jokes.
and nobody laughed. And he's like, and so saying like, oh my God, I'm a terrible comedian. Nobody likes my jokes. Like I should quit. But then he realized it was an Italian convention and nobody spoke English in there. So that's how I relate.
Well, I also think that there's another piece to that, which is I'm going back to a time. I remember we used to design and build furniture. And I was like, something's got to shift. We have to do something that's scalable and repeatable because the variables, I have a business head too. So I said, we're going to make a product line. So we made 10 tables and we made a booth and the whole thing. And it was so cool. And we went to it was a furniture show on Miami Beach in the convention center. People loved it. I mean, they just came in and took pictures and they loved it. And we didn't sell one piece. And I was like, oh, God, okay. And we took our furniture back. And 6 months later, we went to New York City with our little U-Haul truck with all of our stuff in the back. And we put the exact same booth with the exact same stuff in a different audience. And that's where kind of we were found. It was like, what? We made a $5,000 sale and then a $10,000 sale. And then we met some of our biggest customers at that exact show. So I say sometimes you need a bigger pond. Yeah.
Gayle, you've shared a lot of advice with us today, and you've had a long trajectory, many businesses, and many, the way you said it, expensive lessons in your life. What would be one piece of advice that you would give 25-year-old Gayle out there trying to, make it through the entrepreneurial world?
Be who you are. That's life advice, but it's also business advice. Be who you are. Quicker.
Thank you, Gayle.
Thank you.
All right. For someone who is listening and wants to get in touch with you and learn more about what you do, where would you like to send them?
Sure. I have a website. It's GayleZalduondo.com. I also publish on Substack every week. So, and the name of that is The Unfurling Voice, because it's still unfurling for me too. And then, or you can DM me on Instagram too.
Awesome. Okay, Gayle, thank you so much. I enjoyed this conversation a lot, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will do too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hugo. It's always a pleasure being with you. All right.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Gayle Zalduondo. If you like this episode, please rate us and subscribe in whatever platform you're listening from. If you're curious also how our company, Mundes Media, may help you in growing your business, please visit www.mundeskmedia.com. I'm your host, Hugo Sanchez, and I'll see you in our next episode.